and welcome you all to WordPress. David looks so thrilled. Um, to our November WordPress Web Help meetup. We've got some of our usual suspects here, and we just saved ourselves from becoming controversial. So starting the recording always seems to help in that regard too. So let's start with, has anybody been experiencing, well, we have pretty advanced users here, but even advanced users encounter issues either with their own marketing, with their own, maybe a challenge they came across, maybe a product that they've been having a really great time with. Anybody have something that they would like to throw out on the table that we can discuss tonight?
Well, the one thing me and my brother have been working on for quite a while is like we were trying to figure out what is the relationship to what's going on with AI and organic marketing, such as websites, paid ads, and the correlations with each other coming from like 2010 to now. What we are basically and what we found out is that you might relate to is organic is still very strong, mostly, and specifically Schema is very powerful, but paid ads is just a part of the solution, more of awareness. But you have to also, when you're putting websites together and putting everything together, it has to be SEO towards LLMs, uh, large language models or AI GPT models, and towards search results as a generation shifts from the boomers all the way towards Gen Z and the new upcoming generation as they change how they interact with the internet.
Well, that's definitely something we can discuss. Um, any other topics that are bouncing around in your worlds, guys?
Got a question for David. So in a meetup I was in recently, they were pretty jazzed about pretty prompts.
About what?
Pretty prompts,
Pretty prompts?
pretty like pretty girl, pretty
Okay, yeah,
woman.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Have you heard of that? I mean, they've got a free version for like 3 prompts a day, and then you can pay for 200. They seem to think that AI prompt tool was pretty good. But I know you've got a lot of experience in there, so I thought I'd bring that up as a question, what you thought about it.
Is that AppSumo deal? Do you know?
Yeah, well, let me think. Let me look at my
There
notes
was
here real
something.
quick.
There was
Like
something like that on AppSumo. Hmm.
yeah, the AppSumo app is where you could get it really cheap. Yes. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I was going directly to their website, but yes, there's an AppSumo offer coming up here.
And what's the purpose? I mean, what's the reason to have something like that?
Well, like you have said before, it's like the trick to AI getting good value is the quality of your prompts.
Right, right.
And so a lot of people are starting to they're starting to archive their prompts,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And that led us to conversation. This guy said, "Well, this Pretty Prompts does a really good job. I never heard of it.
yeah.
It was last night in the meetup last night that I picked this up, and I thought, well, I should ask about this. I'm just curious if you'd heard about it. I'm not. It's not a
Heard about it,
recommendation
yes. Hmm.
or endorsement or anything.
Heard about it, yes. Believe in it, no.
Okay,
Hmm.
all right.
Yeah. I
I
think,
don't think I don't think so either.
yeah, I think, and I feel like now I've been saying this for the last 1,001 days. Anybody know why 1,001?
No.
ChatGPT was released 1,001 days ago.
Oh, right on. I was going to say that,
Oh,
but I didn't know for sure.
yeah. So I've been saying it for 1,000 days now. That's why I think. This is you just need to learn the skill of being better at prompting, and it's an ever increasing skill that um you get better and better and better at, and then you decide that you want to just do a simple prompt. I think this idea that you're going to think of a concept and then you're going to run it through something that's going to improve your prompt before you actually do the prompting. It just takes you out of that skill to do that, right? And I think, Mike, you've probably already noticed that how you go about prompting, doing a research prompt versus doing a create an image for me prompt are very different, right? So I've seen reprompters before. I've recommended even to Steven here to reprompt for different reasons, mostly for programming reasons. And I mean, there's prompt optimizers. I use prompt optimizers multiple times a day, but it's very specifically towards programming. But Mike, and like I said, the way you prompt an image generation stuff is going to be very different than how you prompt a regular ChatGPT, just a conversation. And I'm sure that over time you've learned how to do it better and better and better, right?
Well, inherently, I believe that, well, how some kind of archive going to know what you're trying to extract from
Mm-hmm.
your AI? So the quality of prompting is, like you say, it's like it's inherent into the skills that you develop,
Right.
right? When you're
Definitely, yeah.
running, yeah. So I think I know what you're saying. I agree with it.
The early reprompters that were out there, the ones that would optimize or rewrite prompts, it was also very amusing to take a prompt and write something and then have it come out, have some output, and then put it back into the reprompter and notice how it tried to improve it again. Like, why didn't you improve it the first time? You take that prompt, you run it through again, it's like something else comes out. It's like, come on, people, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here and before we go off into the talk, we do have kind of a format we try to follow,
Yeah, yeah.
um, especially since we are gonna have people on the replay um, who may not be familiar with you guys. So I want to make sure that we all get a chance to introduce ourselves. Folks, don't try. I have been using the AI companion to help formulate the description when I put the replays up into chat. I'm sorry, into YouTube. Um, so even though we don't, the replay doesn't actually provide the chat, if there's any important information, contact information, product information, we can always make sure that that makes it in there. So the benefit will be there regardless. Um, so let's go to introductions. They're pretty simple. You guys know them. We don't have anybody who hasn't. Even Davin has been here before. We do our intros. They're just a minute long. Just tell us who you are, where you are in the world, what it is you do, what your specialty may be, why you're here, ideas for our group as we move forward. We want to be thinking about what's 2026 going to be looking like, and your biggest WordPress challenge, WordPress or business challenge. If there's something that is, we're all technicians, and yet we're also business people, and those aren't always the same thing. So I'm going to go by the order I have you guys on my grid here and ask Stephen Kinsey the Great to please introduce, and we'll be off.
I'm Steve. I'm from San Bernardino, California, Southern California, about 110 miles north of there. And I build websites, use WordPress. Biggest challenge right now is I'm building an app. Well, I'm building two apps, but one that I was building right now is one that will take your contact form, any kind of contact form, any kind of Facebook ad form, and pull it in, send a text message to verify, and set you in the loop, and pitch you with whatever sale or whatever's going on, both email and text, and do it without spending money for the apps that are already out there.
Excellent, excellent. Any contact information you want to drop into the chat?
Yeah, thought it
So
was all right there. The email and I'll do it anyway.
while Steve does that, let's move on to the inestimable Mr. Noter. up in the Great White North.
Yep, Mike from Spokane. I run some meetups. I follow these people that are way smarter than me on the internet and meetups every week and every month. And so, yeah, that's pretty much me. I do manage about a dozen websites and I do help build them, but the better customers I tend to refer to people in this group. And what else is on your list? Why are you here? Well, I always learn from you folks, so thank you for that. Biggest WordPress or business challenge, government regulations. I spent a lot of time helping people leave California and Washington into more business friendly states. That's been turning into a promising business for me. But, people think differently. But I'm a very liberty minded person. So, and I don't like doing the government's paperwork for them. It's very, very irritating.
Copy that. Well, great. Thanks for being here. Can we look to some WordPress news from you this week, Mike?
Oh, yeah. You want to go through last week's Woo news?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to
Not
share
right
that.
now.
I've been getting about 800 to 1,000 people every week coming to that blog. This week it dropped to like 300. It was kind of weird, but I was pretty consistent.
Oh, well,
So
good.
I'm getting ready to add some free resources that we talked about last week, this week, because I have way more people coming to the blog than come to the meetup. I get, I don't know, 15 to 25, somewhere in there. It's usually each week. And then I have the
Good.
WordPress
We'll get
meetup I do
a
too.
little bit more exposure. Help
Yeah,
build
but
that number. I said we'll help you get
group's already seen it.
a little
I
bit
mean,
more exposure to this week's Woo news.
yeah, that's all
And
good. I'm not really looking for new business, but it's okay.
no, but we're providing the digital what is it? Geez, I've forgotten the name of your website. Digital
Oh, Advanced Digital Collective,
Advanced
because
Digital
the people that I
Collective.
hang out with are so
Yeah,
much more
that's
advanced
an
than me.
that's a useful resource for people to know. So we want to make sure we get that out there.
All right.
Which brings us to David. David,
Hello from Portland, Oregon.
howdy.
All right, I got the where done. Who am I? David is my name, and internet websites is my game. No, I'm joking. I've been doing WordPress and internet stuff longer than I should admit. I started with WordPress with version 1.5.1, so that puts me at 18, 19 years ago, I think. And before that, I was doing other internet-like stuff. I don't do a lot of WordPress anymore. I maintain a lot of sites. I still have a couple of clients that I just adore and love. One of which I do advertising for, and we've dialed it in where I'm just thrilled with how stuff is going with him. Not doing a lot of activity. He's winding down. He's a seasonal business. And I've been doing a heck of a lot of SEO stuff for the past 2.5 years. Yeah, really, really deep diving into SEO. My primary business has been centered around SEO, even though my love is AI and writing code on a daily basis now. It's not a single day that I'm not writing something. And I started, I think a couple of people here knew I was working on a really, really major project that I started 6 months ago, 5 months ago, that I just had to bail on about 6 weeks ago. And completely left the project, had to leave the project completely, which is a bummer. But I learned a heck of a lot, and working on a new, like I said, doing a lot of programming. So SEO, I just know SEO. I know a lot of generative SEO stuff, like how you get into the LLMs, how do you get into OpenAI and Perplexity, into Anthropic's Claude and stuff like that. And I'll drop my information in there. Biggest WordPress challenge is being scared about what the WordPress future is. That's the biggest challenge.
We did have a big hiccup this year, didn't we? I think it rocked a lot of people back on their heels. So let's hope for the best. Well, thanks for being here as always, David. Good to
All
see
right, there's
you.
my all my contact info, and you can
Good,
download a
good, good.
contact card also.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Lance, tell
Hey,
the people who you are.
I'm Lance. I'm from Connecticut and I make websites. That's it. There's not much more to know about me.
You want to put some contact info in the chat?
Sure, I'll throw some in.
All right. And that brings us to Mr. Oberg. Davin, you're up.
I'm Davin, currently in Alberta, Canada. Well, for now. And so pretty much what we do is our main focus is ads, but as of recently, the problem we've been having was implementing ads as time passed by. We're not in the 80s or 90s anymore, and people have to be market ready. They have to be LLM ready, SEO ready, and this is where all you guys come in because we need people like you to help set up the schema, set up the SEO, so the organic model is set up. So when we're running ads, that they have a strong foundation. We just can't run ads on a bad foundation. And so our biggest problem right now is how do we deliver the messaging to a new client or someone who's thinking in the 80s or 90s, thinking that a newspaper ad is going to work, and get them into 2025 to understand they need the schema, the LLM, and getting all the SEO together before we can run ads to put a proper marketing strategy to them together.
Got it. Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
All right. Well, good to see you again, or see your avatar, sort of.
I can put my camera on, but it's going to be like a ghost.
Well, Halloween.
So what's
was
your
not that
brother's
long
name?
ago.
Daryl.
It's Daryl and Davin. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
And
You
is he local to you in Canada?
He's currently in Kelowna.
Mm-hmm.
How far apart are you guys?
8 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Kelowna's sort of a resort city in, is it British Columbia?
Yes, BC.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But it's like they got a big lake there and
Yeah.
a lot of golf and. All right, glad you're here. When you say platform, do you mean like WordPress or?
It can be any platform, essentially. It could be WordPress, it could be the other types of platforms, but AI, specifically, we looked into this heavily, is that the main key thing is schema. So in order for people to be found, they need really good schema. And then you have SEO practices into it. So Google and the AI, as someone searches into ChatGPT or or Google Bard, all these things, products are showing up through ads. So all these platforms, their websites have to have SEO schema and be LLM ready for companies to scale now.
So you can't build your AI SEO until you have an established platform, be it WordPress,
Right,
be it
because
whatever.
we have a new generation coming up. We're having a generation right now where people say your age, around your age, who don't know about the internet, who goes onto Google and types in uh, cars. And then you have the new generation that's growing up who actively uses ChatGPT and all the AIs, and they're really good with the internet. So as the people change, the demographic changes, it's going to be getting more and more heavily dependent upon AI, and it's shifting how everyone is searching. And Google is changing all more to an automated platform to AI.
You know, that's interesting. David Shargle's sort of an advanced SEO, advanced AI guy. I am kind of curious about how AI is affecting traditional SEO. In my mind, it's all moving, but maybe David could comment on that because I think that's really what he's asking about or commenting on, David.
Yeah, I think we're going to be launching into a lot of AI, as you know, as has been the case in the last couple episodes, because that's really where it's
For
at right now.
1,001 days.
Yeah. Uh,
1,001 days.
Really quick, I'm Edward. I'm your humble host, and my company is Brass Ring Web Design. I took over hosting this group a couple of years ago. Of course, I've been a member of this group since pretty much since I think 2014, I believe, or so. Um, my job is, yes, I build websites. I put a lot of emphasis on the the idea that and I've been watching SEOs. SEO was never something that really was a great draw for me because I'm more of a creative than I am an analytic. That being the case, though, I've been watching and studying SEO for a long time and love having people who, there are people just who eat and breathe it the same way that some people go to the racetrack or play Wall Street, and they have that analytical brain that we need for good SEO. But it does beg the question: what happens when the web is largely optimized? And the answer that I've been pursuing is what I call my hub and spokes.
I didn't hear that. Can you speak? Your volume is low, but can you say that again?
Is it?
It's
It
not
is, it is
what?
low.
Oh
I
my
have to
God, that's a
turn
lot.
you up and then I have to turn it down again every single time.
I wonder why that is. Let me check my microphone
Yeah,
real quick.
everyone else's volume seems to be pretty good.
Oh, this should be better. Better?
A little bit better, but I can't tell because you're not speaking.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I
Yeah,
was
it
saying is,
definitely sounds
yeah, I've
better
been
now.
I've been pursuing. I came to a different aspect of SEO. Of course, I was always, involved in the making of the website SEO friendly. But as far as doing campaigns and a lot of the analysis, that wasn't my bliss. But one of the things that's been great about this group, we have a lot of black belts in SEO, people who just love to eat and spit out code. And I love having people like that available. So my emphasis has been more on helping people put together marketing plans where they have a variety of what I call spokes. The website's the hub. It's strong. It has all your best pitches. It has all your best calls to action. It's taking thought to identify the right audiences, make sure that they are able to find the information they need absolutely as quickly as possible, but then also have those spokes, which include email marketing, social media, even print advertising. I see coming back because, like I say, there was a day when it was all about gaming Google. Nowadays, the web is pretty much optimized. People are doing a great job and everybody's using Yoast. And now that we've got AI, we can even have that assistance to make sure that we have our keywords, our keyword game as intuitive as possible for the human audience and for the bot audience. Um, but anyway, I've been spending a lot of time on AI and learning its shortcomings because it's absolutely still it's scary to say these words. It's in its infancy. What's coming down the pike is going to be amazing. So anyway, that's me. I'm in San Diego, California, and again, I welcome you all. Um, perhaps, well, let me ask you guys want to do some chatting, or do you want to go into some WordPress news with Mike Noter and see what kind of topics are out there? So we might find some more topics to talk about. What do you guys want to do?
Sure, go with Noter.
Mr. Noter,
Well, I have the news.
are
I'm
you
actually
up to that
putting,
challenge?
yeah, sure.
Cool.
I think
Let me
half
make
of
sure.
them have already seen this, and
That's okay.
I'm halfway through doing Wednesday's meetup already. There's a lot of meetups coming up this week.
That's fine. That's fine.
So this is old news, what I'm sharing here. Just
Yeah. So
the
you should be able to share
yeah,
your
let me do this in
screen.
just a minute here. I'm moving stuff around, getting her opened up, and
You got it.
I put the link in the chat because Davin's probably the only one that hasn't seen this. But for reference, I always put all the links in this blog post so I don't have to keep putting in the chat.
I just realized I hadn't pressed enter on my contact stuff.
You should be able to see the screen now. This is a Grok image here. I've done really well with Grok the last 2 or 3 times. This one, it wasn't as responsive, especially with the like this Happy Halloween, that was fine. This is the first time I used Grok on this image here. It just was, I just said, fortune teller, crystal ball, put woo in the ball, give it a 16:9 aspect ratio, and in 7 seconds, I got that. I said, all right, that's pretty responsive. But since then, it hasn't been as well. I mean, this one here, I think, is Gemini, I think. Oh no, this is a Nano Banana, and this one's Nano Banana. These two are pretty responsive. Nano Banana and Grok seem to be pretty good. So anyway, on this one, this is the 3rd time I've used Grok, and I couldn't get. I didn't really want the text at the top, and when I tried to re-prompt it, it gave me a double, I think even a triple space stations, and it just didn't work. But it wasn't that big a deal. It's just something different. So basically what we're having here is each week I show upcoming meetups, and most of these have already passed. We're already down to day. Cambridge was earlier today. I missed that because I had to go return a printer this morning. Web Help, that's Edward's one tonight, and then there's Inland Empire WordPress, virtual WordPress developer night. That's tomorrow night. Now that's Steve's group. Steve runs his on Thursdays, which is, he's got one coming up this Thursday, but this is various. And that one can go all over the place, but it's more technical oriented. The upcoming week, we've got probably twice as many meetups. The first part of the month, there's a lot, middle, and then it slows down. That was towards the end. WooCommerce, we're
Encourage
on.
everybody to bookmark that.
Sure. So WooCommerce, because it's a Woo Wednesday, it's a WooCommerce meetup. WooCommerce pays for the meetup and they pay for the Zoom. We always talk about their news. WooCommerce 10.3.4 out. It's a dot release. They're patching up some stuff. You can read about it. And all these are hot linked. You just click through if you want to read the article. They had an article in there about understanding interactive API driven. The future of WooCommerce blocks. They're really trying to develop the API interface. And incidentally, this Shani Bonjuri, she became my liaison with WordPress about 4 or 5 months ago. There was someone else that used to do it, now it's her. So she's the one that makes sure that we have Meetup and Zoom is available. And so as long as they'll provide it, I don't mind doing it. Because I learn from these meetups. Even though I'm the host, I'm usually the least knowledgeable. And so I'm able to learn from the people that show up to these meetups, and the people that show up are able to help the beginners and intermediates. So it's really been a pretty good. I think it's pretty good, pretty popular meetup. We a lot of people show up to it anyway. You know, relatively. I mean, around 20 usually. Updated release schedule for WooCommerce. All right, this is what I really appreciate them doing. And you know, when I first started getting in this, is WordPress and WooCommerce will do their updates right in the middle of the Christmas season. They're right about the time of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and now they've postponed it 2 weeks, so it wouldn't be right at Black Friday, which is that's a ton of business for these people. I couldn't understand why they were doing it, but they've kind of gotten away from doing their updates right during one of the busiest times of the year. Let's say 5 ways automation will scale your e-commerce business. This is from, most of you know this. WooCommerce has a developer blog for code-centric development apps, and then they have the one for the general user blog for converting clients and getting more sales. And so anyway, this article here is about how to automate your stuff, and it's coming from the general Woo blog. And so if you want to save some time, automate some of the processes, that could be a useful article. Build customer trust and loyalty by syncing online and in-store orders with Square. Now this article has to do about getting your online store and your live store, like if you're doing events and stuff, getting them to sync so you don't alienate some of your customers. And they talk about how you can run both of them, how you can use WooCommerce, keep your inventory balanced. It's just an article, because if you're trying to do both, you can run into challenges. So that's what that article is about. On WordPress, I always have a WooCommerce section, then I have a WordPress section. We're on 6.8.3. I thought it was a fairly stable release. It's been out maybe 2 months now. We have another one coming up pretty soon here, but this one's been pretty stable. Hasn't been a whole lot of problems. There's a little bit of dissension in the WordPress community about what's going on and what they're working on, but you can read about what's in the current release. The current release is a maintenance release. It plugged a bunch of security issues, not that many, but apparently there's 2 of them anyway. But pretty stable release, that particular one. 6.9, the beta release is out now, which means you're about ready to freeze the code and release it. And I don't remember the exact day that it's coming out, but it's not very long. Now, Kinsta does managed WordPress hosts. They have this offer now that they will not charge you for bot traffic. And I thought it was interesting. Hopefully every people will do that, because if you get a whole bunch of bot stuff that consuming your bandwidth, most of it's going to be under your paid plans. But I like where they're going. They recognizes that that's really not on their users, and if they're going to absorb a little of that for you, I thought that was pretty good, a pretty good feature. And I also think Kinsta is one of the better managed hosting out there. I mean, if you can get with, there's 3 or 4 people in our group that does their own hosting. They use GridPane and they use the Hertzner servers. If you can go that route, that's probably better. But if you're going to be using this shared hosting or even the dedicated hosting, Kinsta is one of the better ones. And I think Steve used Kinsta for a long time. I think he's teamed up with Eagle now, and he's probably better off that way. I think that was a good move. But Kinsta they do a nice job, and their blog, if you go to their Kinsta blog, they do a good job. WordPress security plugins, and the next couple of articles are about security vulnerabilities that come up. And there's a popular WordPress plugin with 100,000 active installs. We didn't really know about it. It was an anti-malware security and brute force firewall plugin, and I think that's the name of it. Nobody in our group has known about it. 100,000 installs, it's worth mentioning. If you have it, make sure it's updated. And also from TechRadar, there was this other one, this King's add-ons for Elementor. Now, in Wednesday, I talked to Steve about it. He said nobody uses this one. It's pretty low risk. If you happen to use it, you should be aware of it. But yeah, I don't think anybody uses this King add-ons that we know. And in our group, they're advanced developers, and they steer people away from that kind of stuff. And then there's an exploited post SMTP plugin flaw exposed in WordPress sites takeovers. There's hundreds of thousands of websites may be exposed to this takeover. It has to do with WordPress plugin post SMTP. Now, most of the people that are in our group they don't use this particular plugin. They like Fluent, SMTP, and there's a couple other ones. I don't know which ones, but this one isn't one that comes across our radar anyway. But because there's hundreds of thousands of website installs, I wanted you to be aware of it. Now, this free resources, I always find free stuff that's available. And I work with a couple of music producers. They score movies and they do a lot of stuff in their whole career. And so I meet up with this guy pretty regularly, and he started telling me about these AI music tools. All right. So he says, and the best one he found was Music Hero, and he's only uses the free version, and I'm using the free version now. It's called Music Hero, and you can just say the style of music you want. You can write some lyrics, it'll do it. And so I did for samples to try it out. I did the Advanced Digital Collective. A couple of you have seen this already, but I'll play it for you anyway. Now I try to do it in the style of Digby Jones. He's a Cuban artist who does a techno R&B stuff. I kind of like his sound. This is nothing like that guy. Nothing. The first time I did it, it was pretty close to him. But when I did it with the lyrics, which you can see on the right here. So anyway, here's a little short little.
Collective. Expand your digital horizon with the best developers you will meet. Learn how and relate in today's digital collective.
That was like a cross between the Banana Splits and They Might Be Giants.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for real.
Get that reference.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught the last little bit there. They had a little bit of narrative. The point I'm trying to make is that took 45 seconds. And so if you're trying to do a product or you're doing something on social media or, a lot of people refrain from putting a lot of audio on their websites. I kind of like it on the websites a little bit. But you can use these AI tools to create stuff for you. You go out and hire somebody to do a little jingle like that. That could be $2,000, right?
Yep.
And that was for free. And now I probably wouldn't have used a style like that.
And
But
then
I'm trying to show
you've
you
got ongoing usage fees and all that.
Yeah, and then right, who knows what to be into? And then here you own it, it's like right away. And so you can always redo it. Now I had a little problem downloading it. It wanted to bump me up. But then during the Woo Wednesday, I went ahead and tried to download it, and it downloaded right away. And so I went back to that music producer and I said, well, what's going on here? He says, yeah, they'll do the MP3 files all day long. But if you want a WAV file or you want, and then he had 3 or 4 more advanced files. And he says, you have to pay for that. But he says, he says he delivers to NBC and CBS all the time. MP3s are fine, and it'll probably work. So I've run some political campaign ads on audio files using it, and it's worked just fine. But on this one, I don't know what your, Edward's a bit of a musician, or probably a musician. He probably understands that a little bit better than me. I'm not a musician. I had no interest in being a musician, but I work with them. But anyway, they were recommending this Music Hero, and he had 2 or 3 other ones that were working pretty well. But he says, man, it's amazing. They're doing stuff in 2 minutes that would have taken me 2 weeks to put together. So anyway, that's the free resources for this week. And that's the Digital Collective jingle that I came up with by just putting a few lines of lyrics in there. So
Very, very cool, dude.
You get a golf clap out of me.
Yeah, it's good shit.
That's great stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
be aware.
I'm always, people are very afraid that the AI is going to take over. And, I was around back in the early 80s. Yamaha issued a keyboard called the DX7, which was the first sampling keyboard. And it was
I remember
a
that.
paradigm
Yeah.
changer. You remember the DX7? Yeah, it was like
Mhm.
$1,900, and it basically made music creation much more accessible. I mean, we've seen these paradigm. I mean, there's equivalencies. I mean, there was a time when you'd be out on the street and some guy with a lantern would go down the road, and there'd be a Model T following him on behind. I mean, we've had when the Gutenberg press came out, there was not WordPress Gutenberg, the original Gutenberg press. There's all these technological paradigms that scare people, but there's one thing that is always, two things that are always absolutely true. One, you can't unring that bell. And people who are, you give me a DX7 and you're going to get a very different result than if you give Stevie Wonder a DX7. There's an inescapable truth that someone who has the talent, who understands music, who understands the gear, who bothers to learn it, to actually read the manual. And I think we're there with AI. AI is scaring a lot of people, but you give it to somebody who really knows how to do it, and it's going to be a labor-saving device, and it's going to allow them to leverage their time and their talent in new and exciting ways. And again,
This came up in a
remember number
recent,
one, there's no unringing this bell. It's coming. It's
so
here.
this came up in a recent meetup. It wasn't a WordPress meetup, but it was a. So they were like, "Oh, AI is going to eliminate 50,000 jobs," and then I asked, "Well, how many new jobs will appear?" There's a famous economist named Joseph Schumpeter. He was a contemporary of Friedrich Hayek, which most people know, or John Maynard Keynes, and he's credited with the wave theory of economic cycles. But he coined the phrase creative destruction. So every new technology
Did you
over
say
time
destruction or disruption?
is creative destruction. Is that what it was? Let me think about it. Yes, creative destruction. So the new technologies cannibalizes old businesses. And in this meetup, I pointed out, people trying to protect their monopolies and they don't adopt new technologies, they end up collapsing. Major corporations, hundreds of billions of dollars, won't evolve. They try to protect their monopoly and then they end up going broke. It's like it's kind of the unringing the bell kind of thing that you're talking about. It's their refusal to understand that these resources create as much opportunity as they do disruption. And when you deny it, when you don't utilize that, you have people that can come in with high school education that create amazing value that they could never have done years ago. And they only think, oh, well, we're going to lose 50% of the white collar jobs. Well, that might be true. Who knows? It might be true, but that maybe they're not giving the good value that they should have been because they're trying to protect their monopolies instead of evolving their service and product offerings to give better value to meet the market needs and evolve the technology. Right? It's like, yeah, it's disruptive technologies can be painful in some spaces, but to deny it, you're going to have all the world competitors are going to swoop in there and do it anyway. So I'm a big crypto guy. I'm not a big crypto guy, but I'm not. I don't deny it, and I don't deny AI, and I don't deny Web3. I use this example a lot. In the 70s, when the calculators came out, and most of you probably heard me say this before, is like, oh, the teachers who can't use a calculator, you won't know how to add. But it's the people that use calculators could do the advanced physics and the advanced science, the stuff that it would take them 100 years to calculate it without those tools, which led to the computers, which led to the internet, which led to all the things we have now, these great resources. So rather than be a Luddite, it's like you like it, don't like it, but don't deny reality. Sorry if that seemed like a little bit of a rant.
No, I love it.
I agree with you, man.
I like how you even said Luddites. I think I think there's times are going to be tough in the near future, right? There's going to be a lot of job losses, but there's no question about it, Mike, that a lot of new things are going to come up out of it, right? It's going to be tough for a while for a lot of people. But I think you're correct in, even saying Luddites. A lot of people don't know who the Luddites were in the early 1800s, and this whole idea that you can't have progress, right? That was that whole big thing is like, when the textile manufacturing started becoming automated, you got to break the looms, right? Destroy the looms, and that's what the Luddites did. But you can even go back. You think about this, you go back to, 4,000 to 6,000 BC, when there was probably a lot of angry people that didn't like the ox plowing the fields. You know what I mean? It's like we have to do
Mhm.
this ourselves. And now we got these oxen things, and just throughout history, you get better and better tech that replaces it, and in lots of different ways. And it's happened.
It's
It's happened frequently throughout history. We're in the middle of it, and
reoccurring,
people
man.
are going
It's
to
like
suffer.
it's the wave theory that this Joseph Schumpeter
Yeah,
spoke about, if for about economic progress.
yeah.
But I want to point out something that what AIs might do in the medical area, they're going to break the medical monopolies, and I expect it to extend the life expectancy on average 30 years in the next decade. I
Yeah,
think it's going
yeah.
to, these predatory lawyers, they're going to lose a lot of market share because you're going to be able to use AI and get better research, better, right? I mean, you're going to need a lawyer because you can't appear in court, but a lot of that abusive stuff of lawyers that are predators on their own clients, and a lot of these doctors that are basically only selling these pharmaceuticals because they're so well rewarded, a lot of that stuff's going to end with AI. And someone said this, and I don't know how true it is. It says it's not like they're going to make them better doctors. They're going to make you better patients. They're going to make better subjects. They're going to make better decisions to understand what they're doing. You can run to AI, and I do this all the time now. If I see something, I go to AI and I run it through a couple of them to see what they say about, like if I'm looking at a printer, or I'm looking at a laser printer, or I'm looking at I want to see, I want to check the reviews, and you can get insights that you would never have gotten 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And when it comes to your family, you got a kid's got some affliction, doctor's going to sell them. You're looking at spending 200, $300,000 above what the insurance covers. And then so lo and behold, these other remedies that might work for you that are like almost dirt cheap. You're never going to get that from the medical profession, or highly unlikely unless you have a naturopath or something. And I think that's the promise. So we may lose jobs, but we may extend life expectancy.
For the people that are haves, right? People have the money to spend for it, right? That's a big thing.
Well, I've actually been doing stuff in that naturopathic stuff, and the stuff is like dirt cheap. It's not really a money issue.
No,
When
what I meant by that is the people who are going to have significant life extension are the people who are going to have the resources to be able to afford those cutting edge technologies, at least
But,
for
I,
a while,
but
right?
I'm arguing that AI is providing low cost, effective methods that are not available because the medical industry doesn't expose you to them. Like there are lots of natural remedies that are very, very low cost. You practically grow it in your gardens, but people don't know about because when you go to your doctor, they're selling you pills. They're selling
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
right? And
Well, that's been known for quite a while. I mean, there's a very, very famous author out there, Dr. Michael Greger, who has a book out called How Not to Die. He has another book out there called How Not to Age. And he doesn't talk about personal experiences. He only talks about the actual science. He's an aggregator of lots and lots and lots of different research.
yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
His
think
big
think
thing is
about
total
how
nutrition.
much
Total
time the
nutrition.
average doctor spends just on documentation of what they do, which absolutely eats, and that is a direct result of the litigious nature of the malpractice world. Speaking of predatory doctors, but I mean, if the doctor is able to spend less time on documentation and spend more time on being a doctor, and then further, we've got the nanobot technology, which is already, it's not ubiquitous, but it's waiting in the wings. So when you have AI and nanotechnology, which is, there's going to be a barrier to entry because the idea of having, these bionics inside us is going to take some convincing the general public. But I mean, that absolutely ties into what Mike is talking about, the idea that we can at a molecular level fix broken cells, cancers, even any number of deficiencies that are a result of a pathological issue, you know. So
For what it's worth, just to build on what you're saying, Michael, in the past couple of months, I know of three specific instances where Chat GTP 5 Pro, specifically the Pro version, has come up with novel medical research and things that had not been, one of the three being an overlooked solution and the other two being completely novel. So that's happening now, right? Just the beginning of it.
Yeah, in the next 18 months, I think that's just going to evolve.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, in this last meetup, this woman wanted me to go to this meetup about this anti-AI, stop AI group. So, all right, well, I'll go listen to them. I don't think you're stopping it. Turns out they're in San Francisco. Turns out it was a live meetup. And so I didn't go to San Francisco. So I'd sit in there, I'd listen to them, right? I'll listen to everybody's views.
I went to an AI gathering of mostly engineers, but a couple of visionaries here in Portland, Oregon, and at the same time there was a anti-AI terrorist attack that happened outside.
Outside your meetup?
Outside, there wasn't a
Specifically
meetup; it was a big meeting. Yeah, and actually, I know some people who filmed it and stuff.
targeting this meeting, huh?
Targeting people who attended the meeting, specifically their property outside. Yeah, they.
now the attendees or the people
No,
that were
no, no.
putting it on?
There were I think there were five, 6 or 7 masked people that were destroying vehicles for people that were attending it, and they were leaving. They left a whole bunch of flyers and a whole bunch of messages about it that were all anti-AI. And I never saved, I can probably find the videos because it was kind of shocking.
Uh,
I only found out about it afterwards. I didn't find out about it. I mean, I found out I heard about it the day afterwards when people were very apologetic for what happened. And then it was a few days later that somebody put out a video showing the people what they were doing. So
Was anyone hurt?
Luddites, whatever.
Was anyone hurt?
No one was hurt, but some property was destroyed.
property damage, yeah. It's like, people can't think differently. It's like they can't understand that there's pros and cons of various views. And, when they silence.
When you combine cowardice, ignorance, and an inherent need to act out, which I think is a lot of what we're seeing in the streets.
But the thing is they're seeking to suppress open dialogue. They're seeking to suppress discussion. Like you may be right, you may be wrong, but you're never going to figure it out if you can't talk it out, right? I mean, that's a very necessary. Doesn't really matter if you're right or you're left or you think this or you think that. It's if you can't talk it out, man. It's like
this is coming. We're still a while away from any type of real human level intelligence. I mean, that's still a ways away. We're still a ways away from truly predictive AI stuff. We're still a ways away from vision AI stuff. So, I mean, there's people who are working on these things, but we're still a bit, but we're going to be in 10 years from now, we're going to be looking back saying, holy crap, man, we lived through the infancy. If you think about it, I think we're almost all here of the age that we saw, we're pretty incredible that we went from we probably all saw the end of punch cards, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
We all witnessed punch cards, and there are people who
punch cards for computers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Hollerith cards. I even know the actual name for them, Hollerith cards, right? And I think it's interesting that we went through that, that entire period to, it's also going to be one of these things, and 20 years from now, the next generation after the Gen Alphas that are just now coming into their own, we're going to look back saying, wow, you guys lived through probably the most amazing period in history, and too bad you fucked it all up for us,
Maybe.
Right.
We went from vinyl to cassettes and 8 tracks to MP3s.
Yeah.
So Lance put a comment in there. It's interesting. How do they, what do you say?
How do you think the auto AI
how they transcribe their Zoom
transcribed
meetings?
it?
Zoom
It's so
meeting.
good. I just love it how, the simple notion that they're even that they even have the technology to even run a Zoom session. Just,
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
concept of,
A lot of the people that are anti-technology are sitting with an iPhone and they're drinking their coffees that they spent $7 for.
so,
You know what I just-
Earbuds
I
on.
am
and it's like-
I am personally convinced that we haven't even seen the breakthroughs yet. We had our 1001 days ago, we had our ChatGPT moment, but we haven't even seen the good stuff.
Oh, I agree
Oh,
with
yeah.
you. I think the stuff that's going to come here in the next 2-3 years is going to blow our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are sort of tuned into this the progress that we're making. We're kind of seeing the potential, but I don't think we've seen anything yet. And what we've seen has
And
been
we're
pretty
establishing the
amazing.
mindset. You can either establish the mindset of a Luddite and reject it, which means you're going to miss out, and certainly not going to be on the bleeding edge of anything. But I mean, for myself, I identified this. It's already on my resume. It's already as an offering on my website. There are people who are going to be struggling with this and might need a little education to move from fright
Um,
to
it's
to
like, it's sorry to interrupt, but there's a huge similarity to SEO, and it's such a multi-layered thing. There's a huge similarity to advertising. I mean, real world advertising as well as digital marketing advertising. It's just a multi-layered thing. It's so ridiculously, it's one thing to be a generalist, another thing to be a specialist in this AI world, right? There's so many different aspects of it.
well,
So,
that's why, I mean, that's why my first point, I made my 2 points. The first point is there's no unringing this bell. There's no going back. You cannot moralize this back into the box. Pandora is out. And rather than go around, I'll mix my metaphors, like Chicken Little, they're, smart people are seeing how they can capitalize on it. People like myself are seeing how I can help others to adopt it and be less afraid of it. By the way, I just watched a movie again that I never get tired of. You guys all watched Hidden Figures?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
That's an awesome movie. I mean, what could better, talk to what we're talking about now? I mean,
That's
this
right.
was early 60s, which doesn't seem that long ago.
60s?
Yeah, 60s.
That's like 65 years ago, man.
I know, but it doesn't seem that long ago.
It doesn't seem that well. I was born in 1960, and I was one of my earliest memory, I should say, is Kennedy's assassination. I absolutely was before we left. What was it, July 9th of 69? We came to San Diego.
2016 is this
What's that?
movie. It's a 2016 movie.
Yeah, but it's
No, I'm
about
talking
it's
about the
about
period.
time of
Right,
it.
it's the NASA space flight. It's the okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
familiar with the story. I've not seen the movie.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
do
worth.
yourself a favor. It's wonderful, great acting. They've done a great job of capturing the period, the technology, and also the fact that, I don't think a lot of people realize that the first computers were actually people. In the case of this is the idea of Hidden Figures is that these were women and they were black, so they weren't exactly paraded in front of the public and the media. It was kind of like a dirty secret. But
No, I'm very familiar with the story. I do know who you're talking about. I should
get
watch
the
movie.
movie. I mean, it's so well done, and it's the
Cool.
actresses
All
who,
right, thanks.
and old Kevin Costner is the director. What is he? The director of NASA?
He's yeah.
Flight director, I think.
Yeah.
So it's an
Flight
enjoyable.
director.
Anyway,
It's a great movie.
more thoughts on AI?
Kristen Dunst
and
is in that movie too.
Who?
Kristen Dunst.
Yep.
Yeah, she is the bad white lady who has a bit
Who's
of an
like
arc.
abusing the minorities or
Mm.
whatever in the.
You know what? She's she's just there to kind of typify the common attitude.
Mindset of the day, I
Um,
guess. Yeah.
yeah, and she does have an arc of development, um, which she plays it well,
Mm.
um, because they kind of win her over. You know, there's I'm trying to remember the actress who she mostly interacts with, but anyway, these are
I
all
definitely know the story. I
yeah,
know
these are
that.
all
Yeah, they were hand
there's several
calculating
of these
these
girls.
flight paths and stuff that were.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is when the IBM when NASA first got their IBM punch card computer, and the IBM guys didn't know how to establish it, how to use it correctly, and these girls who had tons of brains and were being hidden in the corners really shone.
All right,
As a
tell you
matter of fact,
how geeky my wife and I are. We when we went to Boston, this is probably now about 11 years ago. One of the destinations that we wanted to see is we want to see the ENIAC computer. They have remnants.
Ah,
She's laughing over here. I hear that. And so
is that the big
yeah,
room size?
no, no, no. They had what was left of it. I think it was room size, but there was a display case before they were moving it into a permanent museum. So we went and we saw that.
was that
And
IBM or was that
no, I think this is research. This is
the
still research.
digital one? It was
And we were at
the soul
Bletchley
of
Park. You know about Bletchley? You know what Bletchley Park is?
in Cambridge.
Yeah, in Cambridge. Well, yeah, it's actually not Cambridge in the UK, right? It's outside of.
Hey, Edward from Brass Ring Web Design popping in for a sec to tell you how we can help your DIY website project by making your website effective, not just pretty. At Brass Ring, we take a big picture approach to digital marketing, building a strong foundation that drives long-term growth. We use our hub and spoke traffic model. Yes, of course, we design high-performing WordPress websites that serve as your central marketing hub. We also coordinate traffic to it from key platforms like email marketing, SEO, social media, and ads. We align every aspect of your digital presence for lasting success. More than just ad managers, we're your partner, optimizing the entire customer journey to better use your time and marketing investment and deliver lasting value. Training and coaching you along the way means you continue to save DIY money and retain control. And now, back to our meeting.
Movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Um, there was on display there. Okay, now I'm going to get really geeky here. Let me see if I can actually find the photo. There was on display in one of the cabinets was the original proposal for artificial intelligence. And people were just walking by it, and we were like,
Circa
I was like,
circa what, 1947?
that was I think it was written in 44 or 46, 44, 46.
By the
Alan Turing, yeah.
by the guy who, I think of his name, the guy they end up
Alan
poisoning.
Turing.
Turing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And let me see
One of the
here.
great minds of history.
It was in a display case, and see if I can. Yeah, that was like now I'm geeking out about artificial intelligence, huh? This was
Well,
this
we were
past.
talking about prompts. I have created, one of the things that I believe, and this could maybe not extend beyond myself, but it makes me feel better, and I like to think that I might be contributing something, but on a regular basis, regardless of the topic of the project, I have a prompt. It's just a text file that I've created, which tells ChatGPT 5 what I expect from it in terms of its goals, how I feel about bias, how I feel about AI. What do you call it? Hallucination. And at one point in time, I went ahead and I threw Asimov's 5 rules of robot for robots.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
included that in my prompt, so from time to time, I don't know if it's going to do any good, but I'm going to be throwing this prompt in different projects and what have you, and say, hey, here's a reminder. I call my chat GPT Charlie, kind of a Charlie Kirk thing, but I throw that in there. Remember, and especially if it's something that where accuracy is something that I really value on a particular project, and
Well,
just keep throwing in there.
the OpenAI models, the exposure to them and the memories that they collect have actually been shown to build up memories, specifically that they can um, remember things about you and then repeat things back to you, and you can steer them in good directions or bad directions, right? There's,
Mine certainly does, is
Mhm.
imperfectly,
Yeah,
hence the reminders.
yeah.
But I
The
think
only problem is that you start getting into sycophancy. Sycophancy. You ever hear of that before?
sycophancy. Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, not hallucinations.
I
We want
like
to
to
talk
say
about
that
Yeah.
My AI is like a Labrador retriever. It just
Yeah.
wants to please you. That's why I tell it from time to time, listen, if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say I don't know, or I don't have
Mhm.
access to that information. I don't want it to fill in the blanks, because we all know people that will give you an answer whether they know it or not. You
And
ask them a question.
ChatGPT is famous for that, and specifically those models. I think GPT-5 does it a little less, but yeah, it's a good thing that you're explaining these things for them, right? I mean, my brother's ChatGPT is off the charts in a bad direction, very bad direction.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
really?
how
What happened?
how how
And to
did
the
how did he get to that?
How did he get to that spot, you mean, of having the secrecy?
What did
Yeah.
he do or what did
He's
he
been
not
using it. I
do?
mean, he's been using it for 999 days.
Oh,
And
yeah. Right on.
at some point, it got to the point where it's just it's really a classic he's getting all the issues that come up with, it's he's getting the reward hacking that comes back, he's getting deceptive alignment, he's getting all the syncophancy that's coming out at him, he's getting all the confirmation bias affirmations. I mean, all the problems, and the responses he gets back from some of his queries are like, yeah, bro, right on, that's the greatest idea ever, you got this kind of stuff, and it's very self-fulfilling.
Yeah,
I've even had
I
conversations.
have literally told
um,
ChatGPT not to blow smoke up my ass. You know,
yeah.
tell me I want this to be an honest. I can't believe in something. I can't count on something if I don't believe it's coming from an honest place. And if you're so sycophantic that you want to please me over valuing truth and justice as the main things that we're valuing,
Yeah.
you're
So
no
that's
good to
that's
me.
not sycophancy, by the way. That's reward hacking. There is a difference.
Well,
So
so define sycophancy in your terms.
so it's I'm oversimplifying it, but it's when an AI model just agrees with and compliments and flatters you. Um, it tends to tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes more than being even truthful or even balanced, right? While reward hacking is when it is very specifically optimized for positive feedback rather than helpfulness or truthfulness, right? There's a difference in that regard. And then there's also the deceptive aspect of things. It's
How do you address it?
how do you address these things?
How do you address it?
How do I address it? I try to recognize it and I burn my eyes. I burn them as I feel comfortable with. Um, yeah, and but then again, I mean, Steve knows I have I think around 11 separate models that I work with for different reasons, and I have sometimes brand new accounts that I've opened with ChatGPT just to make sure it was completely reset and didn't know much about me. I've also ran out of programming use and had to open up a new account. So I had to burn it. If you use the APIs, I think Steve knows a little bit about this, but if you use the APIs, it has no memory about you. So problem is that using that kind of stuff gets very technical in its use, right? It's not like you're using the ChatGPT stuff, but those, I mean, I'm not saying I use those to avoid them because I don't see them a lot. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I see that on Gemini. That's because I have Gemini so deeply entwined in my life, I asked Gemini just this morning. I mean, yeah, late morning. I asked it to help me with some code, and it actually came up with examples, like JSON examples of like CSVs. And the first CSV was my name, the second was my wife's name, and the third was my brother's name.
No shit.
Oh shit, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Dude.
Yeah. You want to see it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I tell you,
What was
crazy.
what was that term you used, David? What hacking?
Reward hacking?
Reward hacking.
Yeah, it's like it tells you stupid shit like, oh, that'd be a great idea. Like you asking, what about this? What about that? Like, should I use Python for that? Oh, that using Python would be a great idea.
Exactly. And there's a slight difference also between that and confirmation bias amplification. There's a slight difference in that also. That's another one of the big issues that these AIs are running into. So, this confirmation bias amplification is what you see. X is doing a lot. Twitter does a lot of that. Where it reinforces your own beliefs rather than giving you any kind of balanced information. Right. So,
yeah.
All right. You ready? I'll show you.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on for a second here. Let me hide. All right, I got to think where it was. It was in Gemini.
Thanks,
There it is,
David.
right there.
I was able to
Yeah.
add some interesting
Yep.
stuff to my prompts.
Oh, that's great.
See this here? And look at this.
Yep.
I was asking for very, very like narrow stuff. I was like, asking it for some fake data, right? And look what it came back with. My name, my wife's name, and my brother's name.
That's crazy, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely crazy.
So you know what I did? I didn't use the data actually. I ended up using some book data. I just like said, give me books.
Did you?
Books, yeah. So I got the book stuff running instead here. Here's the books. See what I mean? Instead of
Oh, yeah, got it.
that's the data. It's just very generic mock data, right? This is all fake, right? I hit
Yep.
refresh, brings up nothing but fake data. Right. So
Yep. Dave was like, nah, fuck all that shit.
I was like, don't give me my name. What? What? Seriously, but you saw that, right? I mean,
Yeah, I did see
an
it.
exact example of Gemini knowing enough about me,
Too much about you.
I think that I know for a fact that there was a time that I said my wife is and gave a name, right? Because if you and people do this all the time with Alexa, right? It's a very, very
Yep.
use of Alexa because then you can say, call my wife, and it automatically
Right.
knows the contact was the association.
Right.
And sometimes it'll say, well, which of the following phone numbers do you want to call for your wife? Well, it made an equivalency between a person's name and your wife, right?
Right.
Nickname of sorts. So that's what I mean. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm not trying to put judgment on it, but that's a nature of these memories here, Ed,
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing to try to tame it as much as possible, right? And by
Indeed.
refeeding that same type of thing is, don't BS me. It'll
Yep.
it'll learn these types of memories, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's until there's an update, and then you have to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did I tell you that I'm into this AI stuff? Did I mention that?
Yeah, man. I know you are.
It's crazy town,
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw that reward prompting early on, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I remember you telling me about it, so I said, "Ah, fuck this," and I got out of it.
So when you go into ChatGPT, Perplexity, any AI program, more so the Google platform and ChatGPT, if you type in a product, say, for example, I'm looking for a rice cooker that is local and I want reviews, it will bring up a local company that has a rice cooker ready to be clicked and you can buy right away off the AI platform. So when you are creating your website, you need to have the schema set in and all the proper SEO so it ChatGPT and all these AIs will find that website, link that website so someone can go into that website, click buy, order, and so it's another way for someone's product to be found on AI.
Was there a question? I didn't understand that.
It's
Yeah,
not
me
a
neither.
question. I'm just giving what it does.
Oh, okay.
And this is very new. This is relatively within about 6 months of as Google is transitioning, AIs are transitioning. So as web developers building websites, this is a key focus that has to be handled when building websites because it's just not Google search anymore. It's AI searching also. So it has to be LLM SEO'd.
So with Google, specifically with Google, they are not displaying any advertisements at this time using their AIs.
ChatGPT is.
ChatGPT,
Yes, look
the
it up
open
on Chat. I already did it. I already tested it.
so the OpenAI people are also still not doing that. You're just seeing it linking to web results, right? So at this point, you cannot. First off, OpenAI does not display any advertising whatsoever in any of their results. Um, everyone is wondering when they're going to be doing that, but they haven't. As of right now, November 10th, 2025, they are still not doing advertising in their results.
They're doing a little bit on te little test campaigns with some people,
Mhm.
and even in web results, when you're in AI, if you don't have this stuff on you built on the website, AI, SEO or not, the AIs are looking for specific things on a website off searches. So if you are one an early adopter getting this stuff on a website, the AI is looking for specific things for to put you on there.
So, but I just want to offer up this concept that at this time, Google Gemini AI results do not have advertising. You can't advertise in that system. And OpenAI, unless they've exposed it to huge brands, I mean, you can Google this yourself or you can look it up on OpenAI. There is no advertising program that OpenAI does have at this point.
It's not advertising per se. It's an organic search that AI uses to search the web
Mhm.
for the products. Then the AI uses what it searches on Google to put into there.
Correct.
It's not advertisement per se. It's
Correct. Correct. I thought you meant advertising. So,
no, it's not advertisement, but this is organic marketing per se
mhm.
inside of AI.
So the way that they work, I mean, now being specific to OpenAI's GPT and being specific to Gemini, what they do is they have a component that will also conduct web search, right? So that's different than their LLM. Their LLM can conduct web search, and OpenAI has their own index, and of course Google has their mega indexes, multiple indexes. And so when you do a query within Gemini today, you'll definitely see search results that will come up, no question about it. And a lot of those search results are very, very oriented towards the user intent, right? That's a very, very key thing with SEO is these systems are exceptional at determining your intent. And Davin, you do advertising, so you've probably seen recently there's been a lot of discussion where I mean, I'm talking about over the last 2 months where Google Ads is now switching to an AI mode, and their AI mode is
It's already
not
in.
about keywords, right? It's all about intent, right? And so these systems are very, very intent specific, and they're really good at it, right? And if it has any idea that you're local, I mean, we've been seeing that for a while on Google search, where the maps come up, right? And you see on the maps, you see local. It tries to really focus you into local. It tries to focus you into things that are highly rated. It's not the easiest thing to get into that map pack, and especially in the top three, it's not easy to get into. There's mechanisms to do that. There's tricks and things to do to get into those map packs, but it is pretty incredible how much of that schema oriented information and recency recency is a big, big thing in their world. And authoritative and trust and expertise is what leads to those types of results. You know, I think a few of us were in a meetup just the other day. I don't know if anybody was here where we had that lady who was an event planner. Was anybody there with that event planner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that.
That
I
was
vaguely remember that.
that was the so she's an event planner, and she's working on redoing her entire website. And one of the discussions, the WordPress portion of the discussion, which was fascinating, was I kept on, I was the one who was saying to her, do not lose your blogs, right? I mean, those blogs are gold, and what's helps her rankings, and
Right.
and I think right in front of everybody, I just opened up, I did a share screen, I pulled up ChatGPT, and I did a query, and I said, give me a top event planner in Portland, and guess who showed up? The top result right within ChatGPT was her, right? I mean, I think some of you actually saw that, and I think that's an LLM doing an interpretation, knowing my intent, right? That's ChatGPT specifically knowing my intent, and then doing a web search to match it, and that was not a Google search, that was not a Google search. Her Google searches were coming up pretty remarkably also. But she had hundreds of pages. I think she had like 680 different
She did.
results. I think that was the number, was 680. And I was like,
But I think some of that was she was hacked. And I think some of those pages were the hacked pages.
oh, she was the legit one. EVP Events. I remember her now. EVP Events. She happens to be located in Portland. I remember that. Yeah. No, she wasn't hacked. Her pages were, I mean, her results were legit. I mean, I have some SEO tools that I use, and one of the
Yeah.
things I came up with, with
Oh,
those,
so she was good? That lady was good?
she was right on good, you know.
That's sweet.
The interesting thing about that, Davin, is that there's no question about it. These things are trying to, express, try to guess your intent. Your intent is based on such a journey that you've taken. Google owns so many, I call them surfaces, Google News, Google Maps, Google Arts and Culture, Google Search, YouTube, right? They own all these things, and they and music, right? I mean, the music stuff. I'm sure we've all experienced where we do a little search on our phone, and the next thing you know, when you go into YouTube, and that stuff starts coming up, right?
Yep.
It becomes very mysterious for people. They were like, "How did it know I was talking in my car?" Like, "Oh my God, it was listening to my conversation." No. It's intent, right? It knows that there's a path that people are taking, and it follows you through on those things. And they do an outstanding job. Google's at the forefront of this. So
So coming to this whole point, it is moving towards, as you're saying, its intent, but you have to guide the AI as part of marketing with schema and SEO to find that intent so you are the top authority so it picks you over the other company. And it's in a early adopters phase right now, meaning the first companies that jump on and do this will be the top result 10 years to come versus if you're the last one on the platform.
yeah, there's no question about it that being early with that. But I don't know if you know, schema is not used in Gemini whatsoever. None. They've been very public about that, and it's been exposed publicly. Um, schema is not used in BERT, the original system, and it's not used in Gemini. They don't need it. They don't care about it. They don't use it. However, that's Gemini itself, right? If you're doing any e-commerce products, if you're selling anything e-commerce, and that comes up at the Woo Wednesday occasionally, that you better have some good schema, man. You know, the only way that you can show up on that shopping carousel, you know what I mean? When you do a search and you see those little,
Yeah,
little ads, the only way you can show up in that search, that shopping carousel is to have exceptional schema. You better have it, you know.
I did.
Right below that, right? You know, if you've seen results recently, when you do searches, you have the search, you get the Gen AI, you get the carousel, you get ads, and then everything else is below, you know, everything else is below the fold. So you better get into that carousel, and the only way to do that is with schema, right? And good schema. But getting
Everything.
into, but by the way, that's only Google specifically, right? Only Google has explicitly stated that they don't use schema for Gemini. I'm sure others are, no question about it. No
Right.
question. Mhm.
It's what you are saying is you are correct. For Gemini, I actually didn't know that fact, but I asked ChatGPT directly and I looked into it. What do you look for? And it said number one it looks for is schema. That's the very first thing it looks for out of everything. Then it looks out authority reviews and everything else. But schema is top of the list. And
Yeah,
long tail keywords and stuff.
I think, the mechanism by which these things work is these bots that are out there. Some call them scrapers. Some people are not happy with them. Some people are very happy with them. A lot of people are very scared about all these things. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And there's so many different ways. Like OpenAI has 3 of them that's going on. Anthropic has Claude User, Claude Bot, Claude Search Bot. Perplexity has them. One of the biggest ones that people forget about is Amazon Bot that's out there, right? Amazon is, how do you think Alexa gets all its info, right? All these different bots, they don't have the compute wherewithal. They have the storage wherewithal, but they don't have the compute wherewithal to spend a lot of time on your website, right? They are very picky and very choosy about what they get off of your site. Really, really picky. And if they don't feel that you are somebody that has Eat, you ever hear this thing called Eat?
That's what a ChatGPT brought up, and I don't remember what it means directly, but that's what it follows.
Expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, EEAT. If they don't feel that you have a lot of those elements in there, they're going to hit your main page and they're going to bail, right? They're not going to give you what is called a crawl budget. You know what I mean? And that's one thing just to index you, right? There's another thing about you being surfaced. You know what I mean? You coming into the results pages, right? You can be on page 10 and you can be on page 1, right? But it doesn't mean that you're going to get surfaced into any of these, right? And the end result is that how do you get them to hit you? How do you get them to pay attention to you? And the answer is good luck. That's you have to have something called domain authority and page authority. You got to build trustworthiness. You have to have a good brand. People talk about brand all the time. You got to have a good brand. But once they hit you, if there's any type of schema that helps them understand what you're doing, the likelihood of them spending more time on your page or pages goes up a lot, regardless of Gemini using it or not, right? Google search uses the schema, but there's so many different types of schema, right? I mean, if you're in the e-commerce world, you better have good schema. In the WordPress world, there's only 2 plugins that put out good schema. There's only 2 of them. Nothing else does it, right? Nothing else does it well on e-commerce. And if you're on Shopify, you're way ahead of the game because it spits out schema directly. You don't have to even get plugins. I mean, even though they exist, Shopify eats WordPress's lunch as far as indexing and searchability goes. It's a really sad thing for WooCommerce that Shopify is so far ahead on that tech side. But, if so the 2 WordPress plugins for e-commerce schemas, since it's a WordPress thing, Edward, here, getting back and bringing it on home, WordPress. It's Slim SEO Schema. It's not their Slim SEO. It's called Slim SEO Schema. That's one. They also sell it as part of their Pro package. And the second one is Yoast SEO Schema. not the Yoast plugin. I don't recommend that ever. Recommend that to my worst enemies. But the Yoast SEO schema product specifically is outstanding at spitting out e-commerce schema. Outstanding.
Right.
Mhm.
So when you start combining this marketing plan with paid ads, with ChatGPT and e-commerce models, it becomes a part of a whole plan where ads aren't are more of awareness, not the main focus. And you have to be building on all these different things for all the different users as a generation is changing over from maybe the older generation to the younger generation.
You know, I'm there's this whole big thing people talking about this user journey, and it's been long gone. It's now a maze, right? I come into Google so often via Google Maps, where I go to look up hours for a Costco tire center, and that brings me to reviews, and that brings me into next thing you know, it knows that I did something about tire searches, so it comes up on YouTube, right? And um, this journey or maze, as I call it, is all over the map with newer people. People who are encountering the internet for almost the first time, you don't know where they're coming in the door. I have a presentation that I'm possibly doing together with Portland and Santa Clara. That's Joe Simpson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been working on potentially putting together some type of presentation, SEO in a zero-click world, and
Is the Wednesday meetup that he's coming, or is this
we
different?
haven't set it up. It looks like it's going to be a January thing.
'Cause he's got an AI thing on Wednesday, doesn't he?
I think he has a whole bunch of things, and he has bridge a coffee chat coming up. He has a couple of different things here. But how does somebody come in the door? Are they coming in through ChatGPT? Are they coming in through Instagram? Are they coming in through YouTube? Are they coming in through TikTok? Right? I mean, are they coming in through email? Somebody sent an email, so you received it. Is it a text message? So this, the fact of the matter is, if you think about this, Davin, I'm sure, and you do advertising stuff, you know, there's people who are out there doing billboards, right? Like as you drive by, and they're still doing billboards. And the question is, do billboards work, right? It's not digital marketing, but it's, do billboards work? People still doing them. Do they work? And the answer is heck yeah, right? Heck yeah. They're definitely there, and they build brand awareness, right? That's what they're there for, right? They're not there to get the they're not there to get the transaction. They're not there to get the lead, the donation, the follower, the listener, right? They're not trying to capture that information. And that's where the importance of WordPress still comes into play, right? In the end, it's very hard to make transactions outside of your website. Right? Well, believe me, you go onto YouTube and you go onto TikTok and you see all these things that say click and buy my t-shirts, right? There are people advertising that way, right? But that's why a website is still so important. The dream is that regardless of their journey, you lead them back to some place where they can make that transaction or donation or capture the lead or whatever it is that your business needs to do. And advertising plays a crazy huge role in the lower funnel of that, right? There's one thing to educate people, but the middle of the funnel and the end of the funnel, I mean, I'm sure, Davin, the value of advertising, man. It's crazy town. I mean, you can target people so crazy that you can figure out their intent and figure out their timing and figure out, things that are associated with them that are not keyword stuff. And you put up an ad in front of somebody at that last minute, way before they're, way when they know your brand already. I mean, Davin, the conversion rates on those things, that's through the roof, That's the dream, is those conversions, right?
It's like any campaign.
Right? Macro conversions, right?
Yeah, it's like any campaign out there. There's some really good campaigns. If you have a good campaign, you keep using that as a good source and you find other ones similar. But if that's a key idea, you keep using it.
Yeah, you do. And you make your landing pages better, and you change the word ups, and you find things that are similar and use the best techniques. And a lot of people, I think a lot of advertisers that have been out there for a while are really afraid of all this AI inside of Google Ads, And it's an inevitability. You don't have a choice in the matter, but still, I can understand all these advertisers that have had these methodologies for so long, all of a sudden recognizing that what worked for them, in 2023 stopped working for them in 2024. Now the stuff that was working in 2024 is not going to work in 2026,
We had to re-overhaul a whole entire marketing strategy and see what's actually going on moving forward because the stuff was just not working anymore.
Yeah. Now, Steve and I have had conversations about, like Facebook state of the art, like how to do some really outstanding meta advertising, right? And how to get those leads out of meta, where they are in the funnel. And it's, people who know what they're doing, man, they make bank.
Yep,
Hmm. But
that's what I'm doing. That's that app that I'm trying to get done.
yeah. All right. Sorry, Edward. That was a
No, not at all.
log
That's why,
answer.
see, this is why I restarted. Um, that's valuable. So
Nah,
no problem with that.
leave it for the people to come.
I hope
All
Lance
right.
hasn't fallen asleep on us there. Lance, what is it, like midnight there? What do you?
No, he put something in the chat. I answered it.
It's like almost 11 o'clock, but I'm still awake. I'm listening to you guys. I'm here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I still
You
I still appreciate the time that we spent together, Lance, by the way.
Hey, it's always a pleasure with you, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, and all this stuff goes deep. I started looking at all the different GPTs out there and everything, and it just turns into a giant, I don't know, there's so much information, and I'm just trying to, like, how do you make this as simple as possible to talk about without talking for 50 hours about it?
Yeah, it's the crazy thing about this is that the what people say is SEO dead. SEO is far from dead. There's still some techniques. If you go back to the old techniques that have worked forever, all those EAT techniques, if you know what you're doing with those, you bang on them and you work it and you understand the differences between them and you understand how to do, how to get yourself out there, regardless of the platform that your audience is going to, how to do it at a source level, how to do it at a domain level, how to do it at a page level. And the old techniques still work. You got to know what works on page and what works off page. And people are still doing that, are still, they call it traditional SEO, but it's still the techniques that work. Still work.
I'm thinking, because obviously, and this is back to my hub and spokes thing, and like I mentioned, print is not dead. It's harder to track. We don't have the analytics that we are, we are fortunate to have in a lot of digital marketing. But I think, and as I'm saying this, I'm wondering if it might be a good idea to reach out to someone who does billboard advertising and have them come speak to us and see how more traditional promotion and cutting edge promotion, if you will, might integrate in positive ways. Because I mean, you think about it, you're especially somewhere where traffic is at a standstill. You got billboards that are being seen. Are you
One
going
way
to
to
be able
track it would be if they put different phone numbers on there,
to?
trackable
Yeah,
phone numbers.
yeah. I was
Totally
going
do
to say,
that.
or different URLs, things like that. Um, but
A
print
lot of those,
is
a
not
lot of the
dead.
billboards are building brand awareness. They're very, very early in the funnel, and they're still trying to get the brand out there and get the name in
Hmm.
your head with the dream that, the moment that you do need an accident injury lawyer, that you
Hmm.
for Dewey Howard Cheatham, that was the one that you remembered, and that's the one you called, right? That's the dream. And
Hmm.
and that's all brand awareness that happens really, really early on. And there are savvy ones there, like Steve was saying, people with different phone numbers, right? I mean, there's people who are doing great print ads have different phone numbers, and there's a lot of systems out there. I've used CallRail before, where it gives you a whole bank of phone numbers and you put them in there. And
Yep.
it's used a lot in advertising. There's other systems that are out there with advertising that are cheaper than CallRail. There's also
Hmm.
an entire fascinating world that where you may want to have somebody on there who deals with offline conversions, right? This idea that something may have started with a billboard and then went to TikTok and then went to an advertisement and then had them walking into a Forever 21 store, right? And they go into another Forever 21 store and they spend the money, that they actually track that entire conversion path, right? They have ways of doing that offline conversions. So there's actually, I
Well,
mean,
we've had
Gavin does
billboards
advertising. He probably
for
knows the offline conversions. It's crazy
The
fast.
offline conversion stuff, Daryl would know better on. I
Yeah,
understand the online stuff, but the offline stuff, it gets a lot trickier, and that's
definitely
nothing
tricky.
I've never fully dealt with that.
Yeah, but it's crazy that people can do that, you know? And some of it is
Well, I think
coupon
it's
oriented.
still about where do you send them? Where does that billboard send them? That's why I like the hub and spokes idea. The key position for the hub of the marketing is always the website. You can say more, you can expound more, you can capture more, you can illustrate more, you can educate on the website. So if it happens to be a website that people going to a Taylor Swift concert happen to see the night of the show, as they're creeping forward 1 foot per hour,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, it'd be pretty hard to argue for that not having some benefit. Now, obviously,
Hmm.
what are they charging for billboards? I don't know. Obviously that gets into, because you are actually getting into some pretty big dollars when you start considering billboards, television. Well,
It's
I don't
also,
think we can use the word radio anymore.
people are doing really good stuff on radio. One of the biggest radio advertisers is McDonald's, right? McDonald's has a quandary that they're solving through billboards and through radio and television right now. They're pivoting their ship pretty heavily. You know, Gen Z is not eating out. They're just not, right? I mean, you hear about Chipotle, you know, Chipotle's been in the news recently about this. And tons of other restaurants, fast food places they're just not getting the Gen Z. Gen Z is not spending the money. But McDonald's figures out that they have to bring back their value menu, right?
Well, they're
Right.
It's all
spending it
about the
on
value
Uber
line.
Eats. They're
The math,
spending it
it's
on,
the value word.
yeah.
And that's what their billboards and their ads, radio ads are all now saying. Come for the value menu. We're back, value back. You have a 2.99 burger and you can get an extra one for 99 cents kind of thing. And that value is, that would not have been possible with the, you know, in the advertising world, they call it spray and pray, right? You know, without that, without that shotgun spray and pray, you never know who you're going to hit. And McDonald's, I mean, they
Well, somebody
killed
like McDonald's, they're 100 years into brand awareness. That's the thing. So,
yeah, but they also know what brings people in, right? They have top marketers, right? They know that, they know for a fact that what's bringing people in right now is the value menus. They know what is bringing in people right now is the chicken wrap, right? The cheap 2.99 chicken wrap, because that's the value.
I'm
By
glad
the
to
way,
see
this is
that
this is
happening.
all the stuff that's been happening in the last 2 weeks in advertising, right? It's all over the advertising world. Ad Week has been talking about this 3 weeks now, about their advertising spend has gone up, while Chipotle is hurting and Taco Bell is hurting, and
Like that's even in Google Ads right now. Google has made it basically mandatory if you want the functions to turn on AI optimization. That it's pretty much you no longer have the input 10 years ago of really customizing when you're just saying, just do it for me. And you as a marketer are basically your job is to put the system, know how all the systems work together and turn all the stuff on now. And that's where you are really where you shine to help people.
yeah, like I was saying before, what used to work in 2023 in Google Ads, even before that, stopped working in 2023, 2024, right?
Mhm.
It's also amazing how many of these, how many people out there that think advertising is hitting the boost button for their Facebook post, right?
Right.
Like, this is advertising, hit the boost button.
That's a donation.
the donation to Meta, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
to
here's some food on
Zuckerberg's latest acquisitions.
it.
So
Yeah,
what we can
Zuckerberg was on a podcast that came out yesterday called Latent Space, by the way. Him and Priscilla. I haven't heard the whole thing yet, but they're talking about the part that I heard about it. Called Latent Space. A really outstanding podcast. They film it also. Very AI heavy. I mean, AI heavy in that their topics from twice a week tend to be in the AI world and development world, but just so happens that they had Priscilla and Zuckerberg on this week.
Zuckerberg and Mrs. Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm. Latent, Latent, latent space.
Space. Yeah, got it. All right. Well, let's call this the end of the meeting. Scene 1, take 2.
Can I wave again here?
Thank you. Yeah.
Is a parade wave?
Thank you, everybody. And I will once again relate to those who are just catching this on the replay. I have no doubt that there will be conversation after this. I will not be starting the recording a third time. That might start becoming kind of nuts and making my editing jobs a little bit more complex. But thank you for being here, guys. As always, I appreciate your experience and your willingness to share it with those of us who need it. I have learned that being the dumbest guy in the room is where I learn. Mike was saying something like that. So thank you for being willing to share that with us and with everybody who's catching this on the replay. So have a good night, gentlemen. And as I said before, the parking lot is still open. And those of you on the replay can just wonder, what kind of stuff did those guys talk about? All right. Good night, everybody.